Last season, we saw plenty of collaborations, not only from Supreme, but also from Palace. In today's video, I'm going to be going through every single Supreme and Palace collaboration, put it onto a tier list, and rank them all to give you guys the definitive list of my favorite collabs from the Fall/Winter 2024 season from Supreme and from Palace. Let's go. So here we are on tiermaker.com. I ended up using the pictures that Supreme Drops posted for all of the Supreme Fall/Winter 2024 collabs. So shout out to him, give him a follow. And then I went ahead into Photoshop and created all of the Palace collaboration logos myself. The Palace logos have a black background, the Supreme ones have a gray one, and I'll include a link in the description so you guys can make your own and tweet at me or tag me on IG if you end up making your own tier list. And enough yapping, let's get right into it. First, we got the NCAA collaboration from Supreme. This collaboration was amazing. I want to put it in S tier, but I feel like A tier is a good spot for right now. We might end up putting it into the S tier later on. Very fire collab. I copped the Miami Hurricanes jacket and the hockey jersey. Good resale profits on both. W. All right, Supreme MOP. Oof. Unfortunately, D tier. I'm not a fan of that group. I didn't love their logo. I thought the pieces were just kind of boring and it didn't really do much for me. Let's do a Palace one. Supreme definitely has more, so maybe we'll do 2 Supreme, 1 Palace. I'm gonna go Phantom of the Opera. I copped that sweater, which I sold for like 300 bucks, and then I still have the skateboard hanging up on my wall. I think this one is an easy A tier. It's an iconic play movie, and I think it just looks really good with the Palace logo using the mask as the A. Very solid. All right, Supreme neck face collab. I don't think I could put it in C tier because the artwork is fairly good. It's just not really for me, so I think I'm gonna put it in the B tier slot. Spider collab, man. Part of me wants to put it in C tier, but I don't think it's that bad. It's definitely better than the neck face collab, so I am going to put it in B tier. And the further an item is to the right, the better I like it. So items that are closer to the left will be less good. Further to the right is better on if they share the same tier. All right, let's go Palace Carhartt. I think this one is an easy A tier, not quite S tier. And now that I'm looking at what's already on the page, I am going to bump up NCAA to the S tier. We'll see if it stays there. All right, Supreme Hysteric Glamour. Had some really awesome pieces, dope leather goods. I copped 3 of the hats, still have one for sale, the green and yellow one. I don't think it's as good as Palace Carhartt, but I do think it's better than Palace Phantom of the Opera, so we'll put it right in the middle of the A tier. All right, Supreme Martine Rose. I think when this collab dropped, I would have put it in the A tier, but looking at all these other collabs, I don't think it quite makes it to the A tier, so we're gonna put it here in B. Palace Uggs. It just happened, but I think this one is an easy S tier. Lots of sellouts, high resale, good slippers with dope embroidery. What's there not to like? It was a great collab and people were clamoring to get it. Man, Supreme Frank Frazetta. I've been gassing this collab up the entire season. I absolutely loved it. But after getting the jersey and the shorts in hand, even though it's S tier design work, I think it's probably A tier in terms of the actual quality. I will put it ahead of Palace just for the fact that I love the art so much, and Palace Carhartt might seem a little bit simplistic, so that's where it's going to be. Supreme BB Simon. Man, some of these are difficult because they're smaller collabs. Like this included 3 items, the belt, the pants, and the jacket, also a hat. So I think it's a pretty dope collection. The belt's selling pretty well. I'll need to get rid of mine, but I do think it is in the S tier. I don't think it's as good as Palace UGG. Is it better than the NCAA? They're really close. I'm gonna give it to NCAA for now, just because we've already got a BB Simon collab, and this was the first official NCAA Mitchell and Ness collab. Which, speaking of Mitchell and Ness, this is right here. I'm guessing this is the Michelin Ness jackets that came out, those bomber jackets. I didn't really like those. I'm gonna put those in C tier. Not that I think Michelin Ness makes bad stuff, but they were pretty boring. If you include that with the NCAA collab, then it would be right there tied if it's the same thing. But I believe the separation of the two means it's just those bomber jackets we got, which they're really nothing special. All right, gotta do a Palace collab now. Let's do Palace Needles. Man, the prices on this were super high, but I still think it was a pretty good collab. collab. I don't think it's in C tier. I think it is not as good as Martine Rose. I think Spider might even be better in terms of items that I would cop and wear. It is better than Neck Face, so we'll put it right there in the B tier. Supreme Mr. Cartoon. Sorry, Mr. Cartoon, D tier. I did like one of the hoodies that had the embroidered logo that said Supreme on it. Other than that, I thought the designs were pretty basic and boring. All right, the Supreme Tims. These ones were nothing close to the Fall Winter 23 Diamond Plate Tims that are now selling in the $1,000 price range, which is crazy to think about. Definitely a shoe I sold too early. This one was pretty forgettable. Is it C tier? I don't think it's C tier. I think it is better than Neck Face. We're going to put it right here in B tier, but I do like the Needles collab more. All right, Supreme the North Face, a contentious drop for sure, but still solid. I even saw someone do a custom where they removed the graphics. Some people weren't feeling that. They feel like if you're going to buy the official Supreme collab, you might as well just keep it stock and rock with the graphic if you like it or not. I am going to put it, man, I'm going to put it right here. Not as good as Needles, but still a solid collaboration in the middle of the B tier. Palace the Great Frog. I really like this collaboration. I wish I grabbed a sweatshirt or something. Really awesome designs. I think, honestly, is it as good as Hysteric Glamour? With the rings, man, all the different designs. It wasn't as big of a collab. This might seem crazy, but I'm gonna put it above Hysteric Glamour for the Great Frog. I think it was really nice and loved all the items that Palace made for that. Supreme Snow White, except for that hand-painted leather jacket, I think it really fell short of my expectations. I'm gonna put it in C tier, guys. They just didn't really bring back those nostalgic feelings from the original collab, and it just kind of came off as a bit reductive, generic, and just not really hitting the mark for me personally. All right, Palace Oakley. This is an easy, dude, this is an easy S tier, I think. I think it's right up here. That Oakley winter collection was super sick. Do I think it's as good as the NCAA? Would I rather rock Palace, Oakley, or NCAA? I'm gonna put it above NCAA, guys, and here's why. Like, for me, I'm a big alma mater fan, Indiana Hoosiers, and it'd be tough for me to rock schools that I have no affiliation with over some sick Palace Oakley gear that I could rock on the mountains, the goggles, the backpacks. I think overall it was just a better collab. All right, let's do the Nike collaborations. I'm trying to remember what all we got. Let's do a refresher. Right, it was only the Clogposits, designed by Aldo Drudy. Still, I'm not sure if it earns itself a spot super high up on the list when I compare it to all these other brands. Let's put it, Nike might be below the North Face. I think it is. And my bad for not zooming in the tier list. There we go. Get a better look at all the brands. Okay, next up, we'll do Palace Avirex. Still can't say it right. Still don't really care. Lots of solid designs with the leather jacket. We had the 9 cuff beanies that did really well. Jerseys were just okay. I think it's gonna be A tier. Is it as good as Supreme Hysteric Glamour? I think maybe the Hysteric Glamour jackets were better, but it is right there on the A tier. Man, Palace is looking great on collabs right now. All right, Supreme Thrasher. I can't rank this lower than C, just to be real with you guys. Thrasher, obviously an iconic magazine. Second time they've collabed with Supreme. Maybe third time. I think the Thrasher stuff is better than Nike. And that work jacket with the neck face art, is it as good as TNF? I think it might be better than TNF for me. Just for me personally, even though it's not gear that I would necessarily cop for myself, I do have to respect it, and people liked it, so I'll put it right there on B tier. I know the Cross logo, sweatshirts and sweatpants are having a bit of resale resurgence right now. I gotta do another refresher. This is the Palace Beam stuff from this year. I remember liking it, but thinking the materials were kind of weird. That's kind of how I feel right now. I don't think this collab was that great. I'm gonna put it right here. Like, I would even say the foam posits or the clog posits were a little bit better than the Palace Beams. Definitely one of their weaker collabs of the season. Supreme Sorrel. I actually like these quite a bit. I think these are the best Supreme boots they released this year. I might rank these pretty high. I know they weren't anything special. I think right below Martine Rose is where they deserve to be. Better than Spider, which might seem crazy, but I liked those camo boots a lot. All right, Palace Rafa, man, it's cycling gear. I'm not a cyclist. I think it did what it needed to do. I want to put it in C tier, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like some of y'all might get mad, but there's just too much in B tier. I'll either have to move neck face down to B tier, put this at the end. It's just cycling jerseys. It's nothing that cool for me. Can't put it in B tier. I gotta put it right there. Top of C tier. And we'll move neck face down right here too. We'll do that. And I think that's pretty fair. Palace, Vivian, Westwood. Dude, this collaboration was so expensive. The gear was pretty cool. I don't know how it's aging. I am going to check StockX just really quick. And just to see how people are liking it. What were these Triferg hoodies? 480 bucks below retail for the last sale. It was a big collaboration. They did have some really dope stuff like the wallets. The teddy bags were crazy. $870. Last one sold for $6. I mean, resale prices is not what this is about, but it is a good indicator of how this collaboration is aging. It was a really well done collab. They did use great materials, high end. We gotta put it fairly high up on the list, I think, to be fair. I think I'll put it right there. I would rather rock the Avirex stuff, personally. All right, the Grinch, how the Grinch stole Christmas. Grinch tee did pretty good on the secondary market right before Christmas. I know resale prices are definitely going down now because no one wants the Grinch shirt after, you know, Christmas and the holidays, at least until next year. I do think this is a pretty good collaboration. The 3-foot tall decoration was something I regret not picking up. I think the Grinch will land itself, let's say right there. Top end of B tier. Not as good as Spider, but better than Needles. There it is. Supreme Jane's Addiction is also gonna be, unfortunately for me guys, top of D tier. Not a fan of that band. I didn't think the designs were good at all. Thought it was pretty boring, to be honest, and I just didn't like it. 4 collabs left, down to the wire. Who is gonna win the top collab of Fall Winter 24? We might have to do some changing around. Let's do the Dickies collab. I'm putting it in S tier, guys, and that might sound wild, but I think it's similar to the Palace Carhartt stuff, and I think Palace Carhartt might also be in S tier and better than Dickies. Yeah, that feels right. I think workwear stuff right now, it's just working really well, no pun intended. People dig it. Resale prices are going nuts. It was also very affordable, which is a great W for the average consumer who just wants a nice Dickies jacket or double knee painter pants, whatever it is. Palace Berg House. Let's look at that collaboration again. Some of these released so long ago. Yes, the mountain t-shirt, the fleece. What do we think for this? This is not amazing. It's just okay. Pretty small collection too. I like the t-shirt. I think this is probably, is it C tier? It might be C tier, guys. One of Palace's weaker collabs. I think it is. Better than the Rafa stuff. But man, Nike, I don't think Nike is even B tier. I think Nike gets dropped down as well to right there. And the Timberlands. Yeah, C tier is getting more stuff. And I don't think C tier is bad. It's just considered average, and then D is below average or bad. I could put an F tier for the collabs that I hate, and I think only MOP would go in there. I think D tier is fine. All right, 2 collaborations left. We have Palace Porter and Supreme Air Jordan. All right, here's the Palace Porter stuff. A lot of logos. The bags were what you wanted. Very expensive. $988 for this 3-way briefcase. Holy shit. Last sale for $400. People are taking baths on this stuff. Holy shit. I mean, I liked it, but man, this wallet, $228. Sell now for $94. This was a cool collab. Wasn't great. Just too expensive for me. And I know that's not what I'm technically rating it on, but I think Palace Porter, was it better than Beams? I think it's better than Beams. And I think Beams might also drop down to C tier. That feels good. All right, the final one. Supreme Jordan from Fall Winter 24. I gotta look at the resale, guys. I gotta see how people are digging this on the secondary. I mean, obviously the biggest disappointment was no shoes returning, and just basically a remake, a redux of this design is nice because it's a simple, clean design, but you know, screen printed. Even looking at these jerseys, I wasn't in love with the font used on the numbers. I mean, the Travis Scott colorways. I still use the drawstring bag for the gym and stuff, but you can't really give this collab, honestly, too much. It is not really aging well, in my opinion. It's just pretty basic. And maybe that will be good in the long run. People will like the stuff, but you can buy it now for $127. Retail was $148. I think Supreme and Jordan is right down here in C tier. I can't put it in B tier. It's better than Snow White, better than Neckface, better than Nike, maybe better than Timberland. I think I'd rather have it than Rafa. I'm putting it right there. I think I'd rather rock maybe one of those Berghaus Palace fleeces over the Jordan stuff just because it's different, and the Jordan stuff just doesn't really excite me. Is this the final list? I mean, I could definitely switch a couple of these around. What is the best collaboration of the season? Ooh. Recency bias on Palace Carhartt? Maybe. I do like the BB Simon stuff quite a bit. Palace Oakley. I think it's a battle between these two guys. Palace Ugg or Palace Oakley. Let's do a look on Palace's website. Here's the Palace Uggs. Small collection, but Uggs are in. Embroidery is dope. Even the jacket, which is expensive, is pretty sick. Here is the Palace Oakley gear. Oh man, maybe it's just because it's winter. Maybe it's because I just went skiing and I'm thinking about going for another one. But I think the best collaboration of fall winter 2024 from Supreme and from Palace is the Palace Oakley. And I do also think that Supreme NCAA is better than Uggs. I think that feels right. So these two, you can call them tied, you can call them compatriots, but if it was a 1-to-1 life or death situation, I'm putting Palace Oakley over Supreme X NCAA. What do you guys think of my tier list? Let me know in the comments down below what I'm wrong on or what I'm right on. Make your own tier list and then tag me on Twitter. I'll repost your submissions, maybe talk about it on stream next week and we can further this discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great weekend. Peace.